Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. So let's click resume and then get right into it. So when we last left off, we were focusing over here on Gleba, where we had this whole giant recycling setup, basically. And we are trying to make legendary quality Yumiko mash and jelly nuts, so that we can eventually get legendary plastic. Now, this is the legendary output for our first setup here, and it doesn't seem to be going super well, but I guess that's just... we need to get more stuff. We need to get more legendary modules over there. And that obviously also is just limited by our supply of legendary plastic, which is limited by this whole setup here, which isn't even using legendary modules itself for the most part, and also is having coal input problems. Not huge ones, but they certainly exist. So the train does that, and then it can leave, and then all this coal is going to filter through and be used up. Now, if I remember correctly, we're getting the coal from like one place, right? It's just coming from this, and it's mostly gone. So we need to add another coal mine on Novice, and hopefully we'll be getting to the point where we stop needing to add these, because we'll be swapping over to Gleba for plastic, so we won't need nearly as much legendary coal. But yeah, so what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to go over here and get this coal patch set up and ready to go. So let's see, actually, can I just like copy paste this, bring it over here, and pop that down? I'm surprised that most of these mining drills even work. Alright, so that is in. Now we need to start getting a wall around it, which I actually have a blueprint for. Where's that blueprint? It's right here. So we just pop this wall around, and we're gonna have to fill in some corners a little bit. But just something like that ought to do, and then we have all this stuff behind us, which shouldn't cause problems. Alright, fill in the corners, and then just someone connect that power line up. Alright, so that is that, and now all of this is getting built. We just need a train stop, which is gonna be doing something like this, and then looping back down this way, and then we need to figure out where exactly this loop needs to happen for it to fit. And I guess something like that is fine. We don't really need all those solar panels, because most of our power is coming from nuclear stuff anyways. So we could just chop out a little bit of the solar panels without breaking anything, and I guess I will put you back in just to help with that. Just get these couple remaining ones to still be active, because I might as well. Okay, then we need a train stop up here, and does it really matter which way it faces? Yes, because we're going to be pulling it off of this, which is, this way is going down and that way is going up. So let's connect this all the way across, and you're going to go all the way over to there, and you are going to follow all the way over this way, and then you will be turning into here. Okay, so now which one did we say was which one? So this is going down this way, right? And let's get some block signals in just every so often. And we need a little bit more space. So those get block signals, and that should be good enough. We're also going to need some drone port coverage down in this area. So let's get that. And then power lines all the way across. Okay, so this area is getting hit by biters and somehow hasn't managed to get connected up. So let's do that, and then also the Spidertron is right here, so that will be a nice short-term fix, hopefully, assuming this is a combat-based Spidertron. Okay, it's not great for combat, but it tries at least. Alright, so that's covered. Spidertron doesn't have rockets, apparently. So that's covered, and now all of this stuff will be powered up, and we won't have to worry about that anymore. And then let's just get a second layer of walls in, and maybe a couple extra laser turrets in various locations. Alright, so then we have that drone port, and let's also get a drone port into there just to cover everything. And wait, does that not connect up? No, apparently not. Apparently it needs to be there to cover up. There we go. So that should get all that covered, and then we need a tiny bit more coverage over this way. So we pop that in and power it up. And that ought to do it. And do we not have artillery down here in this area? We should have a gun up there, I guess. I guess that's the closest one. Okay, it should be fine though. Should be fine though. So then that will get placed, and that'll finish off those railroads. Although the Spidertron can probably do that as well. Yes. Alright, so the railroad is now finished. And now let's put some signals along this side of the road. There we go. That ought to be enough for now. So then the next thing we need is this, which, okay, we actually need this to be just a little bit longer. So you need to go straight down just a little bit more before wrapping into that. And that ought to do it. Okay. So now all that stuff has to get built, and I should just have the Spidertron be standing here for fast building. So, yeah, because now we have to wait for all those drones to bring rails from far away, which could take a while. There we go. They're starting to show up. So yeah, now this has plenty of space, so we can pop that in. Label you coal source, which is going to get an extra train coming here immediately, which I don't necessarily want to have happen right now, but that's fine. So now we just have to get all of this stuff set up. And I could have sworn I had a blueprint for this at one point, but I don't think I have one up to date with like the stack inserters and everything. So we kind of have to do it this way. So we do that, and then we need all of these to have their input belts, which are going to be coming in from the center like that, and then we get this thing, which splits this. Actually, these are already split into 2 belts, so we just need something like this. And you just wrap out like that. You go in like that. And like that. Then we get power lines all the way along there. And now that belt goes into that, this belt goes into that, and we should be clear. So that should be all set up for this once these belts get placed. And that should provide us at least a little bit of coal for a while. And these are fully productivity moduled big mining drills. So they should be relatively efficient, but we go through coal to an absolutely crazy extent, so I don't know how well that's going to last. Alright, so now we're just 1 belt short of having this side in, and there we go. So that is that. And yeah, some of these ones out on the sides had like 1 mineable resource each. So let's just dismantle those so that we can have those mining drills for later. And let's see here. Any of these? So yeah, these ones all look slightly better in terms of how much they have access to. Oh boy, I need to put a couple signals directly in here. So you get a signal and you get a signal. And that ought to be good enough. Probably, actually, let's just put 1 more in. Never hurts to have an extra signal or 2. So now we are successfully filling up trains here. And off they go. And let me guess, there's going to be another train rolling right around here. Yep, just a constant supply of trains to the coal source. And I guess that will be that. So we do have a train still waiting over here, which is going to have a bit of a rough time getting its stuff, but it'll get some eventually. And meanwhile, this one is filling up incredibly quickly. Because coal, unfortunately, doesn't stack that high. So that is going. And we are getting regular biter attacks out here. Okay, so let's get a artillery outpost in this area, because we don't have such a thing. So that power lines go all the way out there, and and get the drone port over to this region so that we can build the drone connection more quickly. So that goes there. And Spidertron just keeps going down this way. And we just keep bringing this line of stuff down. Then we just keep building the drone ports every so often. And, oh, that's the wrong button. Alright, how far out do we want to go? Probably reasonably far, just so that we can deal with it even past significant expansion of the pollution cloud. So Spidertron goes all the way down this way, and oh, some pipes got destroyed. That's not good. How on earth did biters get in here? Let's build some laser turrets up and then figure out how have you gotten all the way into there. That's a very impressive trip that you made. By the way, what is this? Oh, this is the oil refining stuff for back when I was doing massive amounts of plastic production. Okay, so we have a couple laser turrets there. Hopefully that will deter from just like random attacks, but probably we're going to need to do more of this stuff. Alright, back to dealing with what we were dealing with though, because that doesn't seem super urgent. And apparently that was placed outside of the Spidertron's range, so we're going to have to wait forever for it to get there. And actually, rather than waiting forever, let's dismantle you, pop you back in like that, and then we keep going. So we just have to keep dragging this out, and we need these drone ports to bring the artillery down to the outpost when we build it. And also power lines, obviously. Alright, let's go just a little bit further, and this should be far enough forwards to deal with everything we need it to. So that goes out to there. Spidertron comes along, and we're going to need to rebuild that within Spidertron range. Okay, so that should be far enough forwards that we just go artillery outpost, and we pop that in up there and connect all the power lines up. Alright, so this exists now, and once the rest of this stuff gets built, it will be all nice and connected. Okay, let's get that power pole rebuilt from here, just so that the laser turrets which exist can do defensive stuff. And I always forget that this uses a type of inserter which I don't have, so let's just upgrade that. And then apparently we don't have any artillery guns on all of Novice. So how is that possible? Because we have automatic construction of those things up here somewhere. Oh, we do, it's just that the range hasn't figured it out yet. Yeah, so that drone port is in, and now we are all good. So this will all get built up. The artillery gun will be the last thing, as usual. And it should be hopefully well defended enough that we can clear out like all of these biter outposts and not get attacked back here anymore. Like, speaking of which, hopefully that will be another thing that gets dealt with. Alright, the gun is in. The ammunition is on its way. And let's actually set that up to 20 just so that it fires faster. It won't really be necessary or anything in the long run, but it will make it load a little bit quicker. So there we go. And now we get to start angering the biters. So there we go. Whole bunch of shots going through. And that is going to be one angry biter nest. And am I correct that this Spidertron... No, it does. It does have rockets. I don't know why I didn't notice. It has rockets, and it has auto-targeting selected. So it should be capable of supporting us here. I wonder how much of that damage was from rocket-related impacts. Probably some of it. Okay, so now we just go out there, and those are all done. Boy, that gun shoots fast with the upgrades that we have to it. Alright, so hopefully that should get us all under control. And it looks like it's just going to be shooting at a relatively stable rate from now on. And let's move the Spidertron back to see what happens if it isn't around to help. Because it will mean that there is a bit of a further delay on like repairs and stuff. Alright, so that is just going now. So while that's doing its thing, let's check back on Gleba, where this seems to be looping around, and we still haven't seen a single legendary item of any kind. I think that's because these recyclers here and these recyclers here haven't gotten any quality modules. So that's a problem. How many of these are there? There's 12 quality modules on the planet right now. So we bring them up in groups of 20. And so we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that to happen. Okay, those biters are going somewhere. Let's just intercept them midway. And no longer an issue. But the Spidertron is low on rockets now. So hopefully we get more rockets showing up. And we have 528 rockets on Novice, so that shouldn't be an issue. Hello, thank you for the follow. We are currently doing some biter extermination with artillery outposts. So we've got this thing way out so that hopefully we can clear them all out of our pollution cloud, because it was starting to get bad. Alright, so that is going. How's the ammunition holding up, by the way? Basically staying completely steady, producing about as fast as we do. Alright, so that is all getting cleared out. And, gosh, there are so many biters. I wonder... The laser turrets here might not be enough. We might need more defenses to hold up against all this. I guess we'll figure that out if this collapses. But yeah, that is one giant attack. So let's get some rocket support in to help deal with that. That could have gotten bad otherwise. And you are back up to 72 rockets, so that's not a concern. And these biter nests are getting wiped out real quick. And there's still a lot of work to do, so let's set this up again to deliver 40 at a time, just so that we can get this stuff absolutely churning through. Because the faster this shoots, the faster the biter nests are gone and the fewer retaliation attacks they get. Let's see what happens with this wave, with the Spidertron not providing help. Okay. Yeah, so this is very serious. We are more or less able to hold on, but it's real sketch. Okay, and does the Spidertron have repair supplies for all this? Probably not. Alright, so yeah, that was really, really sketchy. So let's first double wall this, so that's a little bit of an assistance against those attacks. Like the big rushes into melee can be stopped by double walling it. And then the repair comes through, and that's good. There's still this giant nest out here, which we are now triggering. There we go. And that is basically gone. It's mostly gone, at least. There's going to be some left over. And then we might need to even add more laser turrets, although, I don't know, the ones we had seemed to do a fine-ish job in terms of, like, dealing damage. It was just that the biters were also able to get through the walls pretty fast. So hopefully if we just do it like this, it should be alright. Especially with the Spidertron right there to provide rapid repairs. Plus, we should be pretty quickly getting through the point where massive attacks like this happen. Here's one. There's a tiny gap in the cliff there, that's funny. So yeah, this attack is a lot smaller than the previous ones too. At least that last massive one. And yeah, double walls making a huge difference. We're losing a bunch of drones, but that's fine. So yeah, we can pretty much fold those attacks, and it's just a constant string of artillery shells out here. Absolutely crazy how much this is doing. Are we going to run out? We are not producing artillery shells faster than we're firing them anymore. So hopefully this can hold up a bit longer. And also, let's just go back to check that we don't have any problems with inputs. So we got plenty of that. Not a huge amount of tungsten. Radars should be fine. So yeah, we don't have a huge amount of tungsten, but it's probably enough. So that is going. I can just watch these artillery barrages all day. This is so satisfying to watch. Especially since they're relatively fast. And also firing well out beyond the pollution cloud. So that is going to deal with all of our problems for a while. It'll be a long time before the pollution cloud expands out to the point where anything past those guys becomes a threat. So that's all good. And random biter attacks are coming in as well and being dealt with by lasers. Science is also going steady, so that's cool. And one day we're going to be done with all that. Back over to Gleba. How are you... Oh, wait. Do you not have any spoilage outputs? You don't have any spoilage outputs. Okay. That is fine. We need to add those. So where does the spoilage want to go? Does it matter? I guess out this way, there's a lot less congestion on the belts. So set you up, filter for spoilage and equality, and we're going to have to copy paste those all the way up this whole line like that, and then same thing over here, although this one doesn't really have the room for that, so I guess your spoilage output is going to have to be up that way. And that needs to be spoilage. Oh wait, that is just the bioflux. That should be fine. So now we have the ability to get rid of spoilage. These shouldn't be stuck like that anymore. And how is this going? We have 12 productivity module 3s, so that's cool. That'll get most of Gleba demand for those done. Quality modules are still going very, very slowly. How's this? Okay, so at this point we've cleared out the entire area just instantaneously, and now this is just going to be sitting here. And alright, so that is that. All done. Did we put an artillery? Yeah, we put one out there too, so that side is cleared. Alright. That should be a massive difference maker in the biter situation. Do we have an artillery outpost over here? No, we don't. We probably could use one. Oh wait, no, we do. I'm blind. Okay, it's right there. So yeah, it seems like we could use an artillery outpost in this general area, as well as probably some more work up on this side, but mostly should be fine. Now let's look at this. Coal is very much able to keep up with demand perfectly well, and even saturate all of those belts back to the machines, so that's working. This coal supply is doing a whole lot worse, but at least is filling up to some extent. So it should be able to still load up an occasional train which comes over here, which is good, because that means that hopefully our supply of coal is sufficient. So here we have that one delivered some coal, and then there's another one waiting right behind it, which is very nice. So that should have improved our supply of legendary plastic. And, I mean, this is all running around. We've got these three who are going as fast as they can with these inserters. But you can also tell, like, these ones are so fast that they actually need more. They actually need more inserters. So let's get a couple more in just to use that more efficient side better. And that's all going through. Okay, couple legendary plastics went out there. That's cool. And that should give us... Let's see, what are the ratios like on this? It's 1 legendary plastic to 1 red circuit. And then 1 red circuit to 1.5 blue circuits. And then it takes like 3 red circuits to make one of these, another 3 to make one of these. Okay, so it does just take a ton of plastic. So, like, a small handful of plastic isn't a huge difference. But we are getting there. It's just slow, which is why we're setting up the new system. Okay, also this iron supply is completely cooked. Yeah, okay, no, I just removed... I removed the actual stop and pushed things over to here, so that's fine. And yeah, now this spot is all nice and quiet. It's no longer being constantly attacked. And that means that we can build our ammo supplies back up, which we seem to need to do to some extent. So that is that. And all this is going. Okay, back over to Gleba. We have, in all this time, managed to make 1 legendary jelly and no legendary Unico mash. We really need those modules to show up. And, okay, well, what we want to do is we want to concentrate the modules over on these ones and not... Because this side isn't actively doing anything, right? So we kind of want to just dismantle it. But we want to have it to work on stacking these. So I think we will end up leaving it as is. No more productivity modules, that's fine. Up to 16 quality modules, slowly but surely getting there. And all that is doing its thing. Okay, let's actually check the setup over here. Is this running? Yeah, so this is working as well to make legendary modules. It doesn't seem to be having a lot of success though, but it is what it is. It is working. And these are basically all running, so there's not much more to ask for from that side of things. So that is going on. Down here, the legendary concrete supply is hilariously low, as always. And that's obviously just not really a priority, so that's fine. It can do whatever. So, over here we've got all of this. And we do have this stash of 300 legendary coal, which I don't remember what I was saving that for. Was it... Oh, I think it was for, like, this tungsten carbide thing, so that we can eventually make legendary tungsten out of it. Okay, do I even want to do that, or do I just want to... Yeah, I think it's going to be better if we just... yeah, let's just request or chest in that legendary coal to here. Just so that it can go a whole lot faster. And then this will start being output priority right. So it's this legendary coal that we have stockpiled here should get us a very long ways in terms of legendary plastic. Because this is 300 legendary coal in a chemical plant. I wonder if there is some other machine you can use to make plastic better, like a cryogenic plant, actually. That is something I should look into. Cryogenic plant. Okay, yes, cryogenic plant makes plastic faster. So this can take way more productivity modules, which means it should be way more efficient. Now, do we have them? Yes, we do. So let's just set you up, give you the pipe from there, and you want, well, I guess we'll start just putting them in gradually. So we start with regular productivity modules, just get it all filled up. And we'll see what the productivity bonus is there. So this is plus 155%. The drones are very slow. Can I get a Spidertron over here? I think the Spidertron might have regular productivity modules in its inventory. Okay, so already with just regular modules, this is 5% more efficient, which is pretty neat. So then, if we go up to legendary productivity modules, which we're going to need to shift over from here. So if we take those out, then hopefully they'll just get delivered straight over to here once they go through that whole thing. And then we can also grab some of these sort of mid-quality ones. So we set those down, upgrade them to epic. And it looks like we just have epic productivity modules, because it's not saying they're missing or anything. So that'll be nice. And yes, it's found those for that. So this should get upgraded and be hopefully just dramatically more efficient. I'm not sure how much of a difference it'll make. I guess we can also just, if we have those, we might as well just put those in. So now this is 250% efficient, whereas this is much worse. So yeah, let's take you out, and okay, that's fine. That can just do that. Then we need to get that pasted across, and then give you an output, which needs to be a passive provider chest, not a requester chest. Okay, you need to be set to legendary plastic. Forgot to do that. And so that should get us cooking pretty well. Let's replace you with a passive provider chest, just so that that stuff can be used. And there we go. That's going to be a whole giant chunk of legendary plastic. Okay, actually, no, we do want you to just go into the passive provider chest so that you can go to the requester chest to go to here, because this is by far the most efficient place for it to go. So that is that. And it should result in some pretty good numbers of outputs for these. And also up here. So that is all good. That is all good and going quite well. So if we go up to transport platform, you did eventually get those, so now you can go up to Gleba and start delivering those down. So that is all going. This is still working. In no big rush, because it's just going to be as fast as it's going to be. So that is that. And so this plastic supply is, we've managed to backlog it, which means that this is just like only limited by how fast it can produce, which is neat. And then this one up here is just going like normal. And it looks like the green circuit production is actually a bit slow. So we should be getting a good number of these as well. Wait, did I? Oh no, those are the Mark IIs, right? Not the Mark IIIs. I would say, did I remove the inserter there? No, just a different, very similar looking item on the belt. So all this is going. Meanwhile, transport platform is carrying the previous row out. All of this is running. Alright, so it's all running. Seems to be going pretty well. Go up to Gleba. Still not much luck. Did this... No, so we still have to drop the modules down manually here over Gleba. So let's just change that. So you get to request legendary quality modules and legendary productivity modules. So those will get delivered down and then be all set up. Okay. I remember there's some important stuff getting transported on Gleba support. Oh, there's 8 cargo bays there. You can request cargo bays, because I know we wanted to expand those. So there we go. Apparently someone in orbit had those. And we'll be dropping them down. We've got plenty of fusion power. And this is just actively running at this point, but obviously not very much because the power is currently a little bit overkill. So that's all good. And now it is just the only thing that we're waiting on are modules. And we're waiting on so many modules. Transport platform is more than halfway there. This is still cooking. How many of these guys did we get? We're up to 9, and that number's gonna keep increasing pretty quickly over the short term. And that should help get our plastic setup up and running on Gleba, which should hopefully help take over from there. So cryogenic plant is doing pretty well on the plastic production. So off it goes. And that's just continuing to do its thing. It's funny watching the drones take it in a really quite short journey. So this... Yeah, so this one is basically filled. And so the only place that the plastic is going now is up here. Oh, but this is also mostly filled. So yeah, our plastic supply currently has caught back up, and we're now just waiting on biter eggs for productivity modules and just production speeds for these. So, if that's what we're waiting on, do we want to just add speed modules in here? Because clearly... Okay, let's just sort of do a sort of quick setup like that. And you guys can get a speed module each. And that should help you out. Just to get you going a little bit faster so that we don't have to be sitting here waiting for that. So down here, the coal supply is basically done. We have a good 100-some spare plastic left over now. And gosh, these epic electrical poles are so very convenient for transporting stuff. So that is going through. And hopefully the speed modules will show up. Yeah, there we go. So now these guys are going super fast. This one should also now be going super fast. It's about double the speed, looks like. Okay, so... Oh, I see. This output needs to go up to there in order to work properly now. Because this beacon is just where that output was previously. So we need that, and then that should be enough to run the final electromagnetic plant around the clock. Spidertron, get up here and do this directly. There we go. So now that's going. Transport platform is over Gleba. And yep, we did end up getting all those deliveries through. So now all this is looking better. We're still missing some in there, and we're still getting some that we don't need over there. We are 63 legendary modules short. And let's see if we can just yoink some over here, because this side is mostly for seed production anyways. And, ooh, what has happened here? All these jelly nuts have spoiled. And I thought I had a filter for that. Turns out that I don't. So, let's get one in. Up here, so you go up there. And into that. And then this needs to be filter spoilage to the right. And then we need all this stuff to get built. And that's probably going to need to be a bulk inserter, let's be real. Okay, so there's a problem with the nutrient supply. And that problem is that we don't have enough nutrient supply. Now, we seem to have plenty of nutrients throughout the old factory. The problem is that we don't have enough up here in the new side of things. And that is probably fine. So, okay, let's get no, not a passive provider chest. Let's get one of you guys in so that this can just provide nutrients. And we can just sort of piggyback off of that to keep these guys running. And hopefully that will be enough. So this does output a whole lot of nutrients, so hopefully that will work out. And it doesn't seem like very many of them are being used over here, so that should be fine. Transport platform is over Gleba, but with nothing to carry, so you can head back to Novice. Okay, and we need that to be powered, and I could have sworn I'd set this... Oh, I never set it a direction to filter to. And then let's also get one of those onto here so that this stuff can be filtered out as well. And there we go. I don't like having a whole bunch of spoiled berries, but it is what it is, and we need to deal with them so that we can use some of the berries which aren't spoiled. Although maybe just one singular bulk inserter isn't enough, but I guess we'll see. So the line here isn't that long, so hopefully that works out. Oh, and this box here is filling with spoilage of all different types. So we're going to need... Let's get a heating tower, and we're going to need to deal with the random various types of spoilage. So you get spoilage, you get base spoilage, and you get uncommon spoilage, and you get rare spoilage, and you get epic spoilage, and then that gets powered on, and that should prevent this from massively overfilling with junk. So that is that. Our nutrient supply is still not going well. So this got unjump started, I guess, is the problem. So we need you to have another input, which... Okay, let's take that out and feed you with some nutrients. And that should be fine now. So now this should produce all the nutrients it needs. Okay, it's got a stack inserter, and that's probably the source of the problem, actually. You need to just make that a bulk inserter so that it can get rid of spoilage as needed, rather than being stuck like this. So there we go, and that should get the nutrient supply all fixed up. And hopefully that will be that. So we just need this to loop around to here, and then get back up into these machines, and then they'll start consuming jelly nuts and get all that going again. Okay, but over here is also having problems because of this. Okay, so you need to be smarter. You need to go if read belt contents, hold all belts, and then you need to say enable disable if sugar is greater than 10, probably. So if we have a backlog of nutrients on this belt, then we will deal with it. Okay, there's a weird number of uncommon spoilage on this belt. I don't know how that's getting there. I do not know how that's getting there at all. Okay, so we need the nutrients to get all the way around to this bioflux in order to work. And hopefully that shouldn't be too bad. Actually, no, that needs Yumiko Mash. Okay, so we need just like a better supply of nutrients in general. So where are our nutrients normally coming from? I don't really see, but that's fine. So we've got this backlog of Yumiko berries, which we can just yoink some of those. Although that also needs nutrients to do. So let's just keep this running. Do we have a nutrients from spoilage thing? Yes, we do have a couple of these guys down here doing that. And let's actually module them up. So those can get moduled to be more resource efficient, and then they can get moduled to be faster again. So that will be a minor improvement to our nutrient supply. But if this is our only supply of nutrients in the drone system, then that's going to be an issue. And also, we really just need more. We need more drones here. So can we request logistics robots, like 100 of them? And then that should get that done eventually. So yeah, part of the problem is, I think, just the shortage there. So then someone, transport platform, how about? Let's have it be you. You can then... Wait, do you have a... You do have a drone request. Cool. So then you can head up to Gleba, and you have 23 legendary quality modules, so that's going to be a useful trip anyways. And you'll be able to deliver those out. Okay, so nutrient supply over here is looking a whole lot better. And as is the nutrient supply over on this side. So let's just get this Yumiko Mash thing going. So where do we want to pull this from? Probably just in this area where they're going to be overfilling anyways. So we're going to do just Yumiko Mash, and then you get your seed output, which is going to go underground to there. And then you get your Yumiko output, which goes to there. And then you do nutrients from... Where was that recipe? I know we've done this. The nutrients from Yumiko Mash recipe. Does it have to be in a biochamber? It might have to be in a biochamber. That's fine. So that goes out, and we just get a biochamber and another biochamber, I guess, since we're doing it that way. Then we might as well just use the drone system for this. So this is going to be a nutrients input of like 10 probably, and both of these get that supply. That power goes into there, And so this is Yumiko processing. You are nutrients from Yumiko mash. And then you output just out to a pass provider chest there. This is going to loop around like so. And you can actually just output onto there as well. Then we get one of those in. And now we just have to filter out spoilage from that belt and just send it into a... Actually, just send it into a nutrients from spoilage thing. Why not? So that is filtered like that. You turn spoilage back into nutrients and then store those nutrients very temporarily. Okay, that power pole isn't actually needed. So now this can do its thing. And let's see here. So you produce 6 Yumiko mash per second. So let's speed module you. Just to see. Alright, so now that is like a perfect ratio. That uses 6. This produces 6. This uses 6. So that should be all good. And then we also do need a spoilage output here. And I guess you can just do that, maybe? So that is that. And, oh wait, no, you need to be filtered for spoilage. And that Yumiko mash will spoil eventually, so it shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so this just, like, barely provides a little bit of extra... Just the tiniest bit of extra nutrients into the system. Transport platform is here above Gleba again, and let's drop the other 100 logistics bots down. Okay, so now Gleba should have more bots. It should have enough bots to do what it needs to do. And that should be all fine. So back over here, all of these guys are working. And is there like a missing soil in some of these? Yes. So we can fill out a whole bunch of this space to get this to provide more Yumiko. So that all goes like so. And there we go. That's all built up now. And hopefully it will result in this doing a bit more work. And how much of this stuff do we have? We have 29 Yumiko, 272 Jelly Nut, and we don't need more Jelly Nut. We have plenty of it. Okay, and these are now producing at a less unreasonably slow rate. So let's get transport platform back to novice. So we have another 18 quality modules set up and ready to go, and another productivity module as well. And this seems to still just be cooking along at full speed. So yeah, I think we might actually be able to fill in all the modules on Gleba for this current setup. And then we can start worrying about what to do with all this stuff. So yeah, this one is missing more than this one, but hopefully the next transport platform trip should do the job. And how much plastic do we still have? Yeah, so obviously the plastic is now at the point where it's just being used as it produces, but it is still overfilling this one, which is very nice. And we still got a tiny bit of reserves here. And plenty of spares up here. So yeah, we're going to want to increase the supply of biter eggs pretty soon, which we should be able to do with our, what's it called? Our automated biter egg production thing up here. So this is set to not request biter eggs under most circumstances. So we have one stockpiled at all times basically, and that should be fine. And because we can place those anywhere, we don't have to transport them across the entire planet in the future. We can just use them. We can just have them come out of the nests and then like immediately upcycle them right there, which will be quite handy to have. So this is up to 24. Transport platform is still not back. So yeah, pretty good chance that we have enough productivity or have enough quality modules to finish off the entire planet. At least with this current relatively small setup. We're gonna need way more because we're gonna need to like double this productivity a whole bunch. Okay, so there was a mystery, right? There's all this uncommon spoilage on these belts, and I don't know... Oh, it's just because these are quality modules, so whatever spoilage comes out of here, I guess, has a chance of being uncommon. Okay, this top one here also needs its spoilage output, but it can't get it super easily because of all this stuff. So you need to go like out there, filter to spoilage of any type, and then just pop that onto there. So that has a spoilage filter, so it should be fine. And that is that going. Are all of these guys working? For the most part, yes, except for that they spend a lot of their time output full. And that... Okay, so it seems like we might need faster belts here, because these guys can't get their items out, and these ones aren't running at full speed. So if we just upgrade hopefully like just that area of belts, and do one of you guys have faster belts? Yes, Gleba's transport platform does. Obviously it's not in the right spot right now. So transport platform can return back and drop off some fancy belts. And it's getting all sorts of stuff launched. I don't know why it's getting transport belts launched. Oh right, I have those automatically requested. So we have a whole bunch of these on their way. Apparently, it says 21. Although it said 50 like half a second ago, and those definitely haven't all shown up. So that is doing its thing. And the plastic surplus from draining this has definitely worn off by now. So that's going to be the last big burst of modules that we get until the Gleba side of things is fully set up. So transport platform, it has 21. There's apparently another 29 on the way. So that's cool. And yeah, that's all mostly slowed down. It looks like this is all broken. Oh, it's broken because there's too much quality copper on it, which is fine, I guess. Seems as good a reason as any for that to turn off. All right. So I just saw some of those guys showed up just now. It says 21 quality modules, 3 are on their way. And there's 3 productivity modules on the planet. We only need 4. So, can I just go to you, custom minimum payload of 4. So if we can get literally just one more legendary productivity module through all of this, that would be great. Come on, random biter egg, get lucky, please. Does not seem to be getting lucky. Alright, that's fine. Transport platform is basically all set up with what we have right now, so you can go back to Gleba. And let's have Gleba also set up to automatically request underground belts and splitters, but not turbo transport belts. So let's get those requested as well. Okay, so if we look back up here, the Yumiko supply seems to be going fine. We seem to have just way too much jelly nut supply, which is not terribly surprising. And it looks like nutrients are doing a whole lot better. Yeah, we have hundreds of nutrients here. We have hundreds of nutrients. And let's actually put a limiter on that. So you are going to be enable, disable, nutrients. Where are they? Nutrients are less than 100. So that way we'll be able to keep just like a constant small-ish supply of nutrients flowing through here. And then you can do the same. So don't read your contents, just do nutrients less than 100. So now that should be all. We should have plenty of nutrients now. That should never be an issue again. And I don't know why it's so much more backlogged over here. Oh, I know. It's because you need your input priority. And then we also need, I guess this is as good a spot as any to do a spoilage filter, which is going to go up this way and then into this heating tower. So that should keep this. There's already a spoilage filter down here, but that's fine. Alright, so that's all set up. Transport platform is on its way back with all the quality modules we need to even open up this second lane back here. And once we have 2 rows of this going, we will hopefully be getting somewhere. And hopefully the somewhere we're getting to is going to be the ability to craft up legendary bioflux and eventually legendary plastic. Now let's see here. So bioflux takes 15 and 12 to make 4, but that's misleading because it's productivity, so it's actually 15 and 12 to make at least 6, and more than that with more modules, which we're absolutely going to have. And then the plastic from bioflux is also going to have a pretty good return, I think. Let's see, we're doing that down here somewhere, right? Yes, so it's 1 to 7, basically. So if we can get this set up and producing legendary bioflux at any reasonable rate, then we should be pretty solid in terms of our outputs. Okay, so we have... Yeah, let's actually set that up now. Transport platform's almost here anyways, so what we need to do is we need to set up these belts to go somewhere, connect up with those belts, and then give us the bioflux. So let's say that how do we actually want this to expand? I don't actually entirely know what direction we want this expansion to go to, but I think we will have it be... So we've obviously got this here, which sort of serves as like a good ending point for the whole row, but I think we actually just want to rotate this entire thing. I think we do, actually. Transport platform is here. It's dropped off all of that stuff. And let's send down all of those belts as well. So I think I want this to just expand up in this direction. So let's figure out how we do that. We want to get like a good solid row of inputs that works for that. I guess for now let's just get the bioflux set up in a slightly temporary manner. So we have this belt is going to run down to this row, and then it is going to is it going to cross? Is it going to cross, or is it just going to go along this way? I think it is going to cross. So these cross down that way. And then they go over to here and over to here. And as they go along, we're going to need to also get these ones connected up. So let's see here. The left one goes down to the bottom and the right one goes up to the top. So this one just goes down. No, hang on. You need to be lined up properly. So you are going to go down to like there and then down to there probably. And then you merge in like that. And then this one needs to go down there. And, gosh, I hope I left enough room for this. Probably didn't. Then you go down and into this. Yeah, I didn't leave enough room for it to work properly, but I did leave enough room for it to work in a janky way, so that's fine. So then we have these rows, which will then take over to here somewhere. Now give me a biochamber. And just do that in here. This is all temporary. You do legendary bioflux. And you take from there and from there. And you take a nutrient supply just from wherever. Let's have it be a small nutrient supply because it doesn't need to be big. And then that continues along. We finished the low density structure productivity research. Let's do railgun damage, because why not? That sounds like a fun thing to do. Okay, so then that power gets connected, and then that is going to make the legendary bioflux, and let's get productivity modules into there. So that makes the legendary bioflux, which then gets transported along over to this way, and that goes in there, and then it has to do a whole loop thing like that, and we need it to go like that with a spoilage filter on it. And this is going to be legendary spoilage, right? So then that filters the legendary spoilage out that way, where we'll just put it in a box to deal with it at some point. And apparently Gleba somehow has managed to run out of just regular old belts. So let's add those onto Gleba support. So you get express underground belts and express splitters from Novice, just so that we never run out of those. And then we power you up. We power you up. You... Wait, no, you can actually just get nutrients from that same requester chest. Railgun damage is completed. Cool. Let's run another one of those just for fun. And so then you are going to make legendary bioplastic. And then those two go forward. You also receive inputs from that belt. And then you output to a passive provider chest. Productivity module U up. Power that. And then we just need these to just merge up, go underneath all that, and then heating tower. Alright. So that should be everything once Gleba support makes it back to deliver the underground belts. And actually, do we even need... Let's not heating tower this, because it's legendary. Let's store it in a box somewhere and then figure out what to do with it later. So this is going to be producing our... That's going to be our plastic supply, and just to make sure that we don't have any unfortunate issues, let's make sure that these are super fast. And they get speed modules, so that we're definitely going to have enough production on these to make all of the stuff that we need to. So that is all that. And hopefully we'll get us somewhere eventually. So, all of this one's just still cycling, and this one hasn't been connected up yet, which we're going to need to do. Alright, so, jelly nuts to the left, Yumiko fruit to the right. Let's actually... Is it possible to just copy-paste? Because we've made all sorts of improvements to this, right? So, if we just do that copy-pasting there, then it should just make assorted mild improvements to this. And hopefully that will be good. Alright, am I missing anything? No, I don't think so. Okay, so then the one thing which we do need to replace is those underground belts get to exist. Alright, so that is all in. And we need a drone port in the vicinity for all of those guys. Another railgun research finished. Very cool. Let's do electric weapons damage, because why not? So Gleba support is almost here, and it should bring us all these underground belts that we need. And then, okay, please say this works. If we just grab all of this and copy paste it over. This isn't going to entirely work. Yeah, that's not going to entirely work, unfortunately. Alright, so we need to do this. We need to do this manually. So, jelly nuts here go into there. So that should be just as simple as that, right? Yeah, okay. Then the Yumiko berries, or fruit, or whatever they're called, come from here. And go up to there. Alright. I don't know why those didn't get dropped off, but let's make sure to do it manually before that leaves. So the Yumiko fruits go up there. Check. So now we have to deal with the seed outputs. So this side is the Yumiko seeds, which come down to here. Right, so the right side goes down to this. And then the left side goes around a little bit through here. And down into there. Okay. That should be everything. That should be everything as far as I know. Okay, somehow we got some things looping around on this. So let's make this an any spoilage situation just to clear that stuff out. And it must be spoiled nutrients or something. Yeah, so now the first wave of actual legendary spoilage there has gone out. And this is getting the occasional legendary jelly. So now we get to see if this whole thing works fast enough. So we need to get enough of this that it's all going. Now, we need actually this to get Yumiko Mash instead of just putting everything into here. Yeah, we just got like 7 legendary jelly in a row. That's a lot of legendary jelly and not a lot of the legendary Yumiko Mash. What's going on here? So this is broken somehow. Looks like the nutrient side of it isn't working. Oh, this needs a power pole. That's why. It must have just been barely outside of the range of my copy paste. And electric weapon damage done. Let's do another one, because why not? Okay, so now we can filter all of the spoilage out, and that will be everything under control. And so now the Yumiko side of this is working. So there's one in there. So I think we're going to need to control the Yumiko Mash output so that some of it gets past here anyways. So let's count you over to here. Read ingredients. We need like 1 Yumiko Mash for this, right? Let's get one of you down just so I can look at the recipe. It's 1 Bioflux and 4 Yumiko Mash. So we are going to need a whole lot of that stuff. So you need to be enable disable on Yumiko Mash. Where is Yumiko Mash? Just the actual item. Where's the actual just Yumiko Mash item? There's Yumiko's, there's Jelly Nuts. Okay, there it is. Yumiko Mash is... No, it should be greater than 3, probably. Oh, this needs to be read contents, include in crafting. So hopefully that does the trick. This needs to be trash unrequested so that it sticks at the right amount. And let's see here. This somehow wound up facing the wrong way. Very cool. Okay. So now you have enough Yumiko Mash, and this one is just waiting on hopefully getting some. So these cycling things here do seem to be working. And it's all just doing its thing. We seem to be getting way more jelly. I don't know why that is. It seems like the numbers in here are about right. This one still has a bit of excess. So it's not like we're low on inputs. And these are all working. These are all working. Although this one can have a little bit more space. We need to take out some of those stromatolites and pop in artificial Yumiko soil. So that should make that marginally faster. Again, a very, very minor difference. Okay, so now at some point we're going to have to deal with the implications of all the various different rarities going in there. Okay, so this looks like it almost did something, but didn't quite manage it. So it's got some legendary spoilage in there. No idea how. So you have enough Yumiko Mash. Now we just need this to get enough Yumiko Mash, and then we can produce some plastic. So it looks like the total supply is still pretty solid. We want to expand these guys out. Transport platform. Do you have anything else to contribute right now? No, you can head back to Novice. And it seems like we are definitely getting a pretty strong bias towards jelly. Which is weird because they should be equal. They should be equal. I don't know why they aren't. It's probably not like the worst thing ever, but it is a problem. Because it's not like we can even do much of anything with jelly. It's not like we can do much of anything with jelly, so who knows? Okay, there's a legendary Yumiko Mash cycling around in this one. I forgot that we did that. All of these guys are going. And is this still working? Okay, so these ones are still having output full problems. Like this bottom one is basically never running, which is a throughput issue. And we need these output fit filters to be any. And what's going on here? Oh, right, that's just fine. So we have plenty of nutrients there, so that's fine. Let's get that filter updated and... oh, wait, no. Whoopsies. Well, that is a little bit backwards, unfortunately. But, oh, no, stop it. I did it again. Copy pasted the wrong one. It should be fine. Probably. So these nutrients will just have to spoil over a relatively short time period, and then that will all get fixed back up. But the whole thing is going to be jammed while that happens, unfortunately. Oh boy. There comes all the stone, just going straight past the camera. And it looks like we are very much managing to use all of it. Still not doing hugely big surpluses on that. So this just needs all those nutrients to decompose. That's mainly what we're waiting on. Let's get another railgun damage research. We're gonna do railguns at some point, because they seem neat. So we have 24 jelly and 14 Yumiko Mash in here. How did we get 14 Yumiko Mash in here? But this is not working. You should be... oh, I understand. I'm dumb. Okay, so this should be easier than I've been making it. So we set that up to there. And now that logic should work. And we should be getting some legendary Yumiko Mash into there. And we have a minute and a little bit to get a whole bunch of Yumiko Mash in to make our Bioflux. And in the meantime, we still need all this stuff to spoil so that this whole system can start working again. We sort of managed to jam the Jelly Nut side of production. But that's fine because the Yumiko Mash side of production is what we're banking on anyways. So, I wonder if there is some way... So, if we had this input on both sides of this belt, then it would go faster. I don't know how much that would help. We're up to 4 Yumiko Mash there, so it is making progress. The sheer, like, timing demand of all of this is annoying while we only have these 2. Now, obviously, eventually, we'll have more modules to be able to just continue upgrading this, and then it'll be fine. So eventually we'll be able to place like a 3rd and 4th of these, and then it'll move relatively smoothly. Until that point, though, we're sort of just hoping. And it's all just doing its thing. And the speed is definitely an issue there. What about the jelly? The jelly seems to be sort of in a similar boat, where it's just barely not quite functional. So that's fine. We're up to 5, and we have 4 minutes. I guess we got some fresher stuff in there, and it spoils as a stack. The fact that it spoils as a stack is real weird and unintuitive to me. It feels like each individual item should be tracked, and obviously they could never reasonably do that, but it feels like it should be what happens. Okay, I think we do probably need like at least 1 extra recycler on these. So, because clearly some stuff is getting through, and that is contributing to the amount of stuff on the belts. So let's get that 1 extra recycler in, and then that goes down like so, and then the inserters go in. Now on the jelly side of things, it seems worse on the Yumiko Mash side than the jelly side. So hopefully that 1 extra will help, and now we can keep up better. Because part of this being stuck is that stuff is looping back around. So if we can prevent that, then that would be obviously much better. Alright, so that's going. This is up to 8. We have 3 minutes. More. We have give or take 3 minutes before that stuff spoils. No pressure Yumiko Mash supply. So, yeah. I think we might have to redesign this whole thing slightly in order to just get a little bit more speed on these, or make the segments just a little bit smaller. So the problem is that we have like all of these 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 all outputting to the same side. Although this belt should be able to handle 30 a second, so I don't know why that's breaking. I don't understand why that's breaking. This should be 30 a second each side, so it shouldn't have problems like that. And the way that the loop works... Oh, I see. So the way the loop works is this outer side is getting prioritized to loop back through again, so this inner side is actually not running at 30 per second. Okay, let's add one more recycler onto these. And maybe that will do the trick. So we're going to get them powered up. And we're going to get you powered up. And now we are short a couple quality modules again, but only 2. So it's not a big deal. Also, are these all working at full speed? Yeah, so all of them are working at full speed. So that is in. The last couple are working intermittently, it seems. So we're going to need to get those upgrades. And hopefully that'll do the trick. Okay, so if all of this is going onto one side of the belt, how much is that? That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So it should be enough. I think actually maybe these lack of productivity modules might be hurting a tiny little bit. It's tough to say though. We still haven't successfully gotten any plastic out, although now we're missing jelly nuts and we've got plenty of Yumiko mash. So yeah, that's what I was worried about. That is indeed the thing that I was worried would happen, is that we just can't get them lined up properly. Can't quite get them lined up properly, and it's causing us to waste a whole lot of resources as a result. So the way to fix that is to just add more so that the randomness evens out. And we do not have the modules to do that right now. But hopefully we will be acquiring them. So you still only 3 productivity modules on Novice. That's crazy. This has not gotten a single legendary biter egg in the entire time since I last checked. Okay, so back over to Gleba. And this is doing its thing. And I don't know why we got 18 of that in. That's not what I want to be doing. I don't want to be wasting this stuff. We should probably set this on a circular loop thing. But for now, I guess what we can do is you can sort of do the effect of a circular loop. So you are going to crest legendary jelly and legendary Yumiko mash. And then we pop that in, and of course the legendary jelly spoiled instantly, but it should hopefully help in future instances of that problem. Oh, we got a craft done. Guys, we got a craft done, and the bioflux will last for hours, so the odds that we manage to run out of Yumiko mash before that, we've got to get there, right? We just need like a couple. We just need a little bit, and then we can get our first wave of legendary plastic. Okay, we need like a central spot for all this legendary spoilage. Let's get a requester chest, which requests like as much legendary spoilage as it possibly can. And apparently we've managed to find yet another just absolutely minuscule gap in drone coverage. That's just my luck. Alright. So this should gather up all the legendary spoilage. And then there's probably some use for it, right? So we can just sort of stick it there. And that should be fine. So yeah, legendary Bioflux lasts for 2 hours. Lasts even longer than regular Bioflux. And then we get our first batch of legendary plastic out of this whole factory. So, it theoretically works. This is a lot of factory that had to take a lot of time just to make 6 legendary plastic. But you know what? We take those. We got there eventually, and that's what counts. And we can get even more Yumiko Mash. So yeah, once we get one of these crafts done, it's gonna convert to a lot of Bioflux. So one of these crafts is at least 4 Bioflux, and more like 8 Bioflux because of the productivity bonuses. And then this is just a huge amount of plastic per Bioflux. So yeah, that's going. So, back to Novice. Transport platform is heading back to Gleba already. We're going to need to set up another one of those rows. And we've got 3 of those all lined up. So yeah, we just need to expand out, we just need to expand this out and make some tweaks to it to make it expandable. Is going to be the big thing. And that's mainly going to be in the input-output section, so we just need to get these to easily paste onto rows. And then that'll be that. Okay, then we need... Okay, let's have you be filtered for common seeds only, just to prevent more of these guys from accumulating. And that should be all good. And we're going to have to do the same thing over on wherever we do the same thing with the jelly nut seeds, which should be in here somewhere, probably. Alright, so that is filtered to jelly nut seeds only. And I mean, our supply of jelly nut seeds is good, right? Yeah, we've got a nice long row all the way along there. Shouldn't have any issues with that. And zoom out. It looks like this is starting to be a thing. So our spore cloud is larger than it was in the past. This is a combat-ready Spidertron, right? Let's actually get it to stop so we can confirm. It has rockets, and really it has nothing else. So this is purely for combat. So that's good. So you can climb up there and just wipe out those... They look like little miniature nest things. So it shouldn't be terribly difficult. So up you go. And that is perhaps not the world's most efficient use of rockets, but it is a use of rockets. There we go. So those ones are wiped out. And there's another 2 down that way, which we can go handle. And these ones are actually getting kind of a little bit close, which I don't love. Alright, we are up to 30 legendary plastic. So that's all good. Now let's go to Gleba support. And you are going to add on legendary plastic from Gleba in batches of 100, I guess. Minimum payload. Okay, we do not want the minimum payload to be 2,000. Let's have the minimum payload be 100. And hopefully we'll be able to scale that up over time. Alright, it looks like the Spidertron was victorious out there. And so then we've got a couple more of these guys to deal with. And how many rockets do you have? You still have 70 rockets, so you shouldn't be running out anytime soon. So there you go. Another one of those guys down. And then the next one is down this way. There we go. At some point we're going to just get artillery. And this is an actual relevant sized nest, so this might actually be a challenge. You have 50 some rockets. That's probably plenty. Okay. So the big guy is down. And another big guy spawned at that exact moment. Unfortunate. Alright, the nest is gone. And we're out of rockets. Whoops. Alright, let's hopefully lead these guys on a bit of a chase. Yeah, probably shouldn't have started that as is. So if we can lead them back to here, we have more rockets over that way. Okay, it seems like they're mostly just turning around. That's fine. So that should be our attacks being covered for at least a little while. So now Spidertron can just get nice and safe within the factory itself. And that'll be that. So now you're still at 30, and we need another batch of legendary Bioflux first. Okay, actually, I have a better idea. So instead of checking for Emiko Mash in there, how about you just check for Bioflux in there is less than 1? Probably just less than 1. So if we have Bioflux, we want all the Emiko Mash to go there to turn it into plastic. If we don't have Bioflux, we want to make it so that we can have it in a form that'll last for a long time. So I think that is the best way of doing that. And we have created a total of 263 legendary spoilage so far. Honestly, could be much worse. Alright, so that gives us our Bioflux, which now turns this off. We've got a full 7 in there. So that is going to be real nice for our plastic supplies. Alright, yeah, this is certainly working. This is working. So, transport platform, you're here. You can head back to Novice. So, Gleba, how much stuff do you have now? You have 18 spare quality modules, which is nowhere near enough to build another one of these. So we're just going to continue to let that rest for a bit. Now, what about other quality things? So this requires quality landfill. It requires less than 1 quality landfill per biochamber, but it still requires quality landfill, which sucks. The rest of this stuff should be relatively easy. We can get the nutrients from quality spoilage, the pentapod eggs. If we get legendary nutrients, we can do that. So yeah. And then the iron and green circuits we just import from Novice, no problem. So if we wanted to start making legendary quality biochambers, that would cut down on the amount of modules we need, but it would obviously add a whole bunch of other stuff. Alright. So, let's see here. Where do we want to get... Where do we want... I guess I guess all the stone stuff probably still just makes the most sense to do on Vulcanus. Just because, like, infinite free stone, as long as we can figure out what to do with molten copper and iron, which we can definitely figure that out. And speaking of iron, these stockpiles seem like they're lower than when I last checked, although I guess these ones down here are very much filled up. So it looks like the iron supply is still stable, and I guess if that's how that works, then these ones down here might be better for... No, the copper supply is still kind of... The copper supply is still kind of close on Vulcanus. So that's still doing its thing. And I believe this should all be filled. Okay, so that's just a passive provider chest. And this requests if we have more than a certain amount, right? And we currently have 499 legendary copper plates, and we are just filling up these boxes of copper cables for some reason. Okay, so that's all fine. Not much to do there. And this is just slowly building up. Ever so slowly. We only have 7 legendary modules there, so Gleba stuff is basically just a waiting game at this point. And I wonder... It's entirely possible that Gleba might already be faster than the novice-based production. It's tough to really get like an accurate read on that. Okay, speaking of which, do you have... No, you don't have legendary productivity modules at all. You don't have any of those, so I would really love to have some so that I can just upgrade productivity past the legendary point. So, with that in mind, let's start getting the biter egg supply up. So we want the biter eggs to be somewhere in this general vicinity, because that will cut down the transport time between there and here. But we don't want it to be too close to anything super important, because if a whole bunch of them pop, then that could be an issue. So this is where the biter egg supply is over here. And it seems like we have plenty of bioflux, and it's not causing any issues. So, I don't know, maybe we do just keep them over here and accept the long travel times just for convenience, but I think we just build it over in this general area. Like, how about somewhere relatively secure, right? So this area's got a whole bunch of extra laser turrets. Oh, yeah, this actually works. So this is otherwise defunct iron mine. So let's just dismantle the iron mining side of things there. And it's got full defenses already, and that should be everything that we need. So we're just going to clear this out, and all that goes away, and those drones are all going to have to go somewhere. Alright, so we start with a supply of bioflux, which let's just pop that just like in a corner somewhere probably. And so we have our supply of bioflux, and we want those to get imported as soon as possible so that these nests we build don't all break, because that would be bad. So then we need... Let's just check down here to make sure I'm not missing anything. So we need bioflux input, the machine, biter egg output, nothing fancy. And we're going to need some way of dealing with spoiled bioflux, but that should be fine. Okay, so we just get you in, and you get bioflux input, biter egg output, and we can just do that and that, and then let's actually just make this row too wide. So then you pull your bioflux from there and put your biter eggs out to there. So those both go on to both sides of that belt. And now we just... Okay, we need this to apparently go up one more. And then we need this. So this is our bioflux supply. Are you not in the logistics network? I just sworn we had bioflux down here. This could get bad. Are we just between deliveries at this point? Or what's going on? Yeah, we are just between bioflux deliveries, I guess. That could cause problems. But if it does, then we will have laser turrets. And let's just actually have the laser turrets built in just as part of the construction of this whole setup. So all of that goes across, and then it all connects down. So we have the laser turrets built in, and then we also want a rocket turret, which is so hard to see, like, where exactly the range is on this. But somewhere down there, maybe, that is going to get the capture bot launchers, so that if one of them manages to break free, we just recapture it and it's fine. Okay, so this belt is the bioflux, and it goes all the way up to there. Then this belt we actually bring down this way, and it is going to provide the biter eggs like that. And Gleba support is here. It's got 400 bioflux, and it's coming back any second now, hopefully. There's a little bit more science on the way. Yeah, we're probably going to lose at least this biter spawner, if not both of them. So that sucks, but whatever. We can recapture them, which is also going to take some bioflux, but that's just how it is. And that is all going. And come on. Alright, so the capture bot rockets are here. So we are set up to recapture these instantly once they leave, and they are both within the range band of the rocket turret. So that's not an issue. We've got our laser turrets ready to deal with them as well. And then, so the last thing we need is we need this belt to go all the way up there, and that's sort of the extent of what I can possibly imagine this being, so that when the bioflux gets here, it'll loop back around and be fine. And it is coming back. We're gonna just barely lose this thing, aren't we? That's annoying. We're just barely gonna be shy of grabbing it. So you didn't wind up getting any legendary plastic. I assume this is still stuck somewhere in the 50s. Oh, it's up to 96. So we're going to get a delivery of legendary plastic probably with the next run of Gleba support. But yeah, so this is going to pop, and we've got a whole lot of laser turrets in the area, so it should be fine. And we only have to hold it for like a second and a half. Now, the capture bot rockets are expensive though, right? So if we go back up to here, where do we even craft those? This whole section of things is a mess. Capture bot rockets are right in here. And they are... Oh, yeah, there are a lot of bioflux per rocket. And for that reason, we need to not be crafting these if it's at all possible to avoid it. So it's fine at this exact moment because we want to be crafting them anyways, because we're expanding, but we need to probably turn this off soon. Or just, I guess, get more bioflux is also an option, but you know, that's tricky. Gleba support, 2/3 of the way. Transport platform has stuff. Let's bring it up to Gleba. And this is gonna pop any second now. And then it'll be recaptured, and then hopefully that'll be that. Okay, there are apparently biters attacking up here. So let's extra fortify this if it's like an active biter location. There we go. So that's being recaptured. The other one, hopefully, it'll be close, but hopefully we can get this back here before the other one shows up. So that is that. For some reason this has 12. We only need this to have 10 on hand at a time. So that is going in. And we have 100 bioflux on the way down to here. And with that, hopefully we'll be good to go. So let's see, last I checked we had like a massive amount of bioflux storage here, right? Yes, we did. And regular old bioflux lasts for like half an hour to 40 minutes. And how much of this are you requesting? You're requesting 400, but a single rocket can take up to 1,000. So you can request 1,000 bioflux just to make sure that, because we are going to be pretty dramatically increasing the number of biter eggs that we have here. So that's going to be necessary. Okay, so you now have bioflux, meaning that you are slowly healing. Yeah, you got really, really low, but we barely managed to make it. And now we're good. There's not much bioflux here, but there's more coming, I guess. And that should last us, hopefully, permanently now. Especially with the increase of Gleba support. And speaking of Gleba support, you're heading back to here. This has 111... and it's got 6 bioflux in there as well. So yeah, this is actually working quite nicely in terms of our plastic production. We are going places. This definitely feels much better than the novice-based setup. Where was that cryogenic plant? It was like in here. Okay, no, so this has also done a lot, but it's hard to say. And we can make it even better with higher quality modules. Because the difference is like 27% in the chemical plants. It'll be even more in the biochambers because they have 4 slots instead of just 3. So hopefully that is a thing which improves. Up here we've gotten another 2 of these. And now this is all going. The bioflux shouldn't be a concern, assuming Gleba support works the way I think it's going to and is able to get all this stuff delivered. Because yeah, a lot of this stuff, the vast majority of it is just spoiling, so if we can output it, then that will help a lot. So that should get us going in that front. And then we just need to expand this up. So let's copy that and just pop it in a couple times. And it's gonna take a lot to craft all of those nests, but it'll just sort of happen passively in the background. Are they all within CaptureBot range? I think so. So that should be good to go. This one is still healing. That one's still healing, but this one is all the way up. And Gleba support is now over Gleba. We might actually need to expand up Gleba support's storage. Can we? Is that easy to do? It's relatively easy to do. We have the underground belts already, so yeah, we can just sort of. That should be fine, probably. Alright, we'll see if we need it when the bioflux shows up. Okay, it says there's 18,000 available on the planet. Let's set the minimum payload back up to 1,000. Just to mean that we don't need to send up 20 trillion different rockets just to get that going. There's also the plastic bars are on their way. So we've got legendary plastic going up. We've got a massive chunk of bioflux going up. And are you not? None of these guys are moduled very well. We can at least get these speed modules up so that they craft a little bit faster, and I don't think, at least up till this point, the input supply has never been a problem. So we're just going to assume that that continues to be the case. Alright, so you have your legendary plastic. And this is just like 8 stacks, right? We have room for 8 stacks of bioflux. That's fine. So that is all good. And that will arrive, and then I imagine this will immediately leave. No, it has to wait 30 seconds of inactivity. There's another 35 legendary plastic bars on the planet already. And that is going to just keep going up. So, transport platform, you are just chilling up here. Okay, let's get our next factory in. We've got 38 legendary quality modules. That's not terrible. It's enough to at least consider placing another one of these guys. So, let's see if we can get this placed properly without missing anything or grabbing any excess. So we grab all of this, And there are some unnecessary belts up near the top, but that shouldn't be an issue. So we grab all of this down to like there probably. And then that nestles in like that. And we pop it down. And all of Gleba is going to be busy constructing this. We only have 200 construction bots on the planet. So that is going to go out, and eventually we're going to figure out that we're missing some things, probably. Probably mostly modules. Maybe some landfill, though it should be fine. Yeah, a lot of this is just taking out the random, like, copper ore and such. And we do have plenty of storage space in there. So that should be okay. And now it's all getting built up. And we're missing 19 underground belts, in addition to all the modules that we're going to need for this. Alright, so now everything has been assigned a bot. Some of it might still be landfill needed. Alright. How is it possible that we just don't have underground belts here ever? Did I not request those? Apparently, I could have sworn I'd requested those. So let's get those requested. Apparently, transport platform had some, so that works out. So this is mostly all built, except for the underground belts, which should be any second now. Then we also need a drone port, which can just go in up there. And we're going to need another 29 quality modules and 9 productivity modules. Okay, so that's good. Let's just pop those down a little bit, and then you can head back to Novice to refill all your stuff. So that is that. And then this has enough modules to be worth at least turning it on, right? So here's where the complicated part goes, because this was not necessarily designed to attach into this. Okay, so first of all, the inputs. Jelly nuts go from here up to that way. And Yumiko goes from here, probably. Yeah, probably just here. Up to this way. And that should get that attached up. So then the seeds. So this is the Yumiko seeds, and they need to go just down to there, probably. Should be fine. And then we need the jelly nut seeds, which I'd imagine would be this belt here, probably. So that goes all the way over to there. And then into there. No, not jelly nut fruits. Just the seeds. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's that, and we've gotten a legendary out of this in like the first 10 seconds. That's impressive. Okay, so then this needs to... we need to get all of this stuff back onto these belts. So the rightward one is the Yumiko mash, and it goes down to here. Okay, let's just have these just connect over this way. And then we take that out. We put that in like so. And that is the Yumiko mash connected up, probably. And then this one comes over this way. And then across to there. Where this then gives it the opportunity to loop around into that. Okay. That is a thing. This is all a mess. Like, probably next stream the first thing we're going to do is tear all of this out and just rebuild it in a more organized fashion. But as long as it works, it works. So we have nutrients flowing around on this. We have Yumiko mash coming out and getting cycled. And unfortunately, the primary cyclers are the ones which didn't get the stuff. So that's annoying for sure. So back over to Novice. This is all producing just fine. We've got plenty of bioflux. And Gleba support is making another trip. So that should be fine. Now if we look over to here, that should hopefully mean more of these guys coming through. Which should therefore mean more productivity modules. Now let's see, we've got 4 of these. Actually, no, we've got 8 of them up there. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're at 4, 8, 11 there, and 8 up here. So this should be almost doubling. Almost, but not quite doubling. And that's fine. Actually, can these guys be beaconed? It would be really funny if they could be beaconed. Let's just like pop a beacon there. And speed module U. I imagine they can't, because they can't even accept modules themselves. But if they could be beaconed, that would speed this up a whole lot and be very appreciated. Alright. So that is just going to have to get its beacon in eventually. And then we're going to probably want to just expand this even more, right? So if we just double this up to another 8 up there, then that would be pretty neat. Alright, beacon, please work. It would be so fun if the beacon worked. Also, this is just like incidentally removing pollution, which is nice. So that, I can't imagine it'll make a huge difference, but maybe. You never know. That might need to be a bulk inserter. And where's the nearest Spidertron? It's pretty close. So I guess we'll just bring that in to hopefully do these upgrades. I wish the upgrades were a bit smarter, like if the closest source changed, I wish it would change to compensate. And yeah, beacons don't do anything here. So that's fine. So let's do the old copy-paste. And this is quite a bit taller than I expected it to be. Okay, so we place that up there. And then this belt needs to wrap around to this way. And that is going to make the bioflux be stuck temporarily, but it should get moving again any second now. So that should be good. And Gleba support has another 1,000 bioflux on its way back. Transport platform has another 20 quality modules. And I guess that's just instantly enough for you to head back to Gleba to get that running. And so all of that stuff gets built in. Okay, that one just got placed. It did an animation. I was worried it somehow it just instantly gone wild again, but nope. Just getting placed. So now the bioflux can continue its loop around and make sure that all these guys are filled up. And how is production of them going up here? So you do have enough biter egg input, right? So this is set to 10 at a time. And it's active. It's just going to be slow because we don't want to overproduce those, which is fine. And for some reason, all the bioflux is in one giant chain, and then there's like a giant gap. I don't like that. It'll probably get fixed sooner rather than later. Oh, speaking of which, we need our filter for spoilage. So we filter the spoilage out and we just burn it. No need to get all fancy with conserving it or anything. We just pop that in. And that is that. There's the Spidertron, and why is it never in the right place when you need it to be? Dismantle that, rebuild it, just so that it can continue to loop. I'm not in a huge urgent rush to upgrade, to build all of this stuff in, but just having the splitter in to start with is quite useful. Alright, so that is all in, and the splitter, when I replaced it, didn't get that memo, so there we go. Now that should be all good. We lost like two bioflux, but that's fine. And we're getting more of these guys placed, and they're getting fed. Alright, so that's all good. Gleba support. Oh, I need to set the plastic. I need to go to Novice and actually set it to request legendary plastic. That's important. So that's from this. And you are going to request like 1,000 of it, probably. That's probably plenty. So there we go. That 100 extra legendary plastic. Actually, what is the ratio of plastic to quality modules? So it says it's 210. Now that's obviously nonsense because of the productivity module levels, but let's see if we can figure that out. So this is 100% bonus. And then a lot of those are going into these, which are 100, almost 200% bonus there. And some of it's going into that, but not much. So yeah, basically it's like 400% bonus. So it's probably like 50-ish plastic per module. Although it's, again, hard to say exactly because the bonuses are a bit tough to track exactly. Alright, so transport platform, you are most of your way back to Gleba. And that should get this most of the way to working again. We're all the way up to 86 already. We have 5 legendary bioflux, which again lasts for literally hours. So that's not going to be a concern. It's just the Yumiko mash supply in there. And that is completely out of ingredient short, as expected. So we're up to 324 legendary spoilage, and there's probably some way of tracking where exactly that's coming from, but who knows. Okay, so these ones over here are not getting enough of anything. So we aren't getting Yumiko fruits or jelly nuts over here. Oh, this somehow got reversed. And jelly nuts are doing fine. It seems like it's just sort of a dead period for them. Yes, and also, how is it possible that I keep noticing these spots that I've missed for the first time? Where we can fit one extra thing in. Alright, so that can get upgraded. And now we can plant one extra tile. Okay, so we might just need a little bit more Yumiko planting. Just like one more of these guys connected up to this whole setup. I am obviously just perpetually concerned about the bioflux supply. Most of this stuff is super close to dead, which is a bit of a concern. It's not a huge concern, mine, because theoretically we're producing it at a stable rate, and it's not an issue. But it might be a mild problem. Okay, so we're still missing some of the things back on Novice. Those should show up bit by bit. And then transport platform is over Gleba, which means that we are only missing 9 of each type of module here. And those are apparently mostly in this side and that one. Okay, so that's all good. The jelly nut supply is doing well. And the Yumiko supply is not. Okay, so yeah, let's add another one of these guys in. And just pop you out there. And I think we learned this from last time that you need, like, at least one more tile of space. So you go into there. Then we get this, which goes like that. And then these 2 belts come out. And the power needs to connect across as well. So the power comes down along this way. And then now we're down here out of the way. That can just connect up like so. And then we're going to need to place in all of the farm tiles for this. So that we're missing that one foundation. Alright, so now this is powered. And it's going to be mostly just removing random junk. But there goes some logs. And let's now get artificial Yumiko soil. Do as much of this as we can. And then that all goes in, and then we'll switch over to the expensive overgrowth soil for the rest of it. So that all gets built. Okay, so then we remove all that. And now we have these, which go down this way. Your output is still just logs and spoilage. But now you have everything all cleared up and ready to go. So let's get a splitter onto there and bring the seeds up. And then these go all the way over to here and then merge in that way. And And that gives us our fruits. And we're not short on landfill or anything, so that's all just going to get built in. And now this can be planting. Okay, now time to queue up the overgrowth Yumiko soil, which probably not going to have enough of, but we can try and at least get it queued up for when it eventually trickles in. So there we go. Gotta get rid of some of those dermatolites. Build into there. And we just keep on clicking through all this stuff until we either run out of soil or we finish building all of this. Okay, so that's all that. Then we need to get rid of some more stromatolites. And I wonder if just regular old Yumiko soil can work for some of these guys. Okay, there we go. And then overgrowth soil for that square. And that should be all covered. So all this stuff is getting planted. And there we go. So once that gets bigger, it will provide us with our nice solid supply of Yumiko fruits. And pretty sure, because these are connecting onto this row, they should just go straight up into here, and they do. Okay, so hopefully that will have us covered. It's going to be a while before this whole harvest goes up, and apparently we missed a spot. There we go, and that looks like the only spot that we missed. So, there we go. All is being planted. And that's pretty neat. So by the time this even finishes planting, like the first couple are halfway done, approximately. So there we go. And then these ones are just harvesting and harvesting. These guys can't be beaconed or anything or moduled, so they're just going to be the way that they are. And then the supply of Yumiko berries or fruits going up here is still not quite enough. These two have enough, and then a lot of the excess is going down this way, which isn't tremendously helpful. But I guess we can just yoink a passive provider chest onto here. Yeah, actually, you know what? So we don't really need this to be... We don't really need that to be filtered. Just send everything into there. Same thing with you. And yes, that should provide us a little bit of extra stuff, which can hopefully go into here. And there we go. So this needs more bioflux. Needs more bioflux, and it's getting the Yumiko mash. This still isn't keeping up with the Yumiko mash supplies. It is doing fine on jelly nuts. So this new farm should hopefully be the thing that turns the tides on that. And if not, we might have to do some arranging in terms of the priorities on this. But again, that's mostly just a temporary thing for now. Okay, it looks like Gleba support managed to pull even more plastic out of there. So now this is running a whole lot faster. And there goes another... We happen to see it live, another productivity module getting made. Those legendary biter eggs do not last long in that box. They just get instantly picked up. So that's good. So that's going. This is still just running pretty slowly because of plastic. And yeah, that's just as fast as it can go. We need to expand this even more, which is going to take a lot of work. So transport platform, you are just sitting above Gleba doing nothing, so you can head back. And from there, I think, okay, something has happened with the nutrients over here. And what is it? It's not enough Yumiko mash. And also simultaneously not enough nutrients. Alright, so it is the Yumiko fruit supply isn't getting over to here, which isn't providing enough Yumiko mash. Okay, so that's a problem we're going to need to deal with. Like, this whole thing is kind of unstable and just sort of breaks every so often when it feels like doing so. We need the nutrients to, like, get up to these ones up here more often so that I can send them across to the bioflux production, as opposed to how it does it right now, where it just sort of gets stuck easily. So hopefully the increased supply... Yeah, so this one is harvesting now, so that's way more Yumiko fruits going through, including through to here. So that should solve the problem. But it's sort of a ugly brute force solution to the problem, which we're going to need to work out at some point. So yeah, I think next stream we're going to have to be redesigning this blueprint, both to have proper input and output lanes built in, so that we can just click, 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 and then place a bunch of them all next to each other in seconds. And also to fix some of the problems that exist in here, like the fact that the nutrients aren't super stable. Like, even in these ones where they have plenty of Yumiko fruits, that it should theoretically be enough, but it's not keeping up. So, I think that will be the job for next stream, though. For now, I think we're at a pretty good stopping point. So, I think we're going to wrap up here. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun today. Making a whole lot of quality modules. Let's actually check. This thing has produced 710 quality modules total, which is pretty decent. We're going to need a whole lot more, but we're making real progress on that. So, thanks everyone for hanging out. I'll be doing Satisfactory tomorrow, where, let's see, geez, what have we been doing in Satisfactory? I believe we're going to be starting work on singularity cells. Yeah, that sounds right. So that should be fun. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. Otherwise, I will be back on Wednesday for more Factorio, where we are going to be just sort of continuing to chip away at this, improve the plastic production, and hopefully get that up to speed. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure to stop by. And that's about it. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to follow if you haven't already.